proud to be here, and I also wanted to thank y'all for coming from your days and spending time hearing our stories. So at this point, I have Suzette Malveaux, director of the Byron R. White Center for the Study of American Constitutional Law at the University of Colorado Law School, will join me to read aloud my autobiographical monologue.
And now Dereck Bell's autobiographical monologue entitled Belly of the Beast. I didn't know what led me there. It was 2 a.m. and I was in my car, parked across from the prison. I didn't know I was driving to the prison until I actually arrived. And I didn't know I was praying until I finally heard my own words repeating over and over, "Stay solid, stay solid." I've been out of prison for over 7 years, but it is easy to go back there in so many ways. I am not going back, but sometimes on the street, I'll walk by somebody and smell jail, and it's like I'm right back inside and I have to pull myself together. Most people who spent any time in prison, we never know when we fall asleep if our dreams will take us back. We wake up screaming and open our eyes, hoping to see that the nightmare is over. We were spat out from the belly of the beast back into the streets, but that beast is now inside our belly, and we do the best we can, because you never know what the day will bring.
I know I never wanted to be a gang member. I never wanted to be associated with drug dealing. I never looked up to that stuff. But I ended up putting my energy into the wrong person. In 2022, I was just out of high school, full-time student, working at a computer store, studying computer science, when I got a call from this guy that I met in my early days. We met back in groceries in the commissary when our parents were in the military. We latched on to each other. We would go to parties together back in high school. There would be times where he'd get in fights, and I would literally fight his fights. Not because I thought he was going to get beat up, but because I wanted to show him that you got a brother in me. You know what I'm saying? I guess always I had the intuition to be like my dad. My dad is intense. He fights you for looking at him wrong. But at the same time, he gives everything to you. Take your shirt off his back tight. He was loyal, he was strong, he fought for his brothers, especially when he was in the military.
When my old friend called, I hadn't seen him for years, but when he showed up, we were right back with each other. Those were some of the best times in my life. We were inseparable, even dated women that were friends. So when he wanted some help with his business, I was all about it. I had the computer and accounting skills necessary to make all the money from the drugs he was selling, hide. I wasn't planning on getting into drug trafficking, but I turned my world from something legit to a throw-off for my friend, and well, for the love of money.
You hear all the time how addictive drugs are, but we don't talk about how addictive selling drugs is. In that year, 2003, I went from ashy to classy. From counting my pennies to having rolls of hundreds in my pockets. From driving a 1988 Toyota Camry to driving a 2000 GMC Envoy. From being treated by the world like a nobody to a somebody. And just coming out of high school, and there's no longer a teacher or a coach asking questions about what I am up to. Because they know me. They know I wanted to build something gracious. Do I want to be drugs to be involved? Hell no. I didn't want drugs to be involved because I knew it was harming people. But the money, just like the drugs, is an addiction. And because I wasn't selling drugs myself, I'll put it behind me like, okay, I'm not going to worry about the people harming themselves. I want to make sure that me, my partners, put our money into the right places where we are able to invest back into the community.
So one morning he calls and he tells me that he's getting a little paranoid about the people he's been meeting at the Walgreens parking lot. He thinks they're going to rob him. He says, "Can you cover for me?" I've been covering him since we were kids. His fights are my fights. So I showed up for him and I was arrested. And in the process, I was shot by the police. And when I tried to run, they ran me over in their truck, and my foot got caught in the axle. And then they handcuffed me on the gurney. And as I lay in my hospital bed, they interrogated me, trying to get information on him. They didn't care that I was in intensive care. I refused to say anything, and for that lack of information, they pretty much gave me the hammer. I thought by keeping silent, I was saving his life. I saved him and a number of people we worked with from going to prison. I took everything they were trying to charge everybody. I just took all those cases and put them on me. All on the notion that if he was in that spot, he would do the same thing. It was only later that I discovered he set me up. The case was all on him, but he knew if I showed up instead of him at the Walgreens parking lot, they'd put it all on me. I was not charged as the accountant on a state drug case, but labeled a mastermind drug trafficker and sent to federal holding.
That's how far loyalty gets in some cases. And the fact is, I was guilty of hiding a major drug scheme. I have misplaced my own loyalty and courage on the wrong person for the wrong ends. And I have been lured into denial by money and just for the desire of the true brother. I have hurt people by selling drugs to my community. Of that, I'm very much guilty. But why is it that I can be sent away for a decade on a nonviolent drug charge, and yet the DA and prosecutor who sent me into that prison of violence and assault are presumed innocent? Because they know what is going on, they know what's going to happen in there. They know what's going to happen due to my lack of knowledge of what happens in the prison. I knew nothing about surviving those environments. I was a child. Don't know nothing about prison politics. I didn't know nothing about that stuff. But I did know if you come attack me, you put me into that center of brutality and try to assault me, I'm going to protect myself. Not because I wanted to show off. I wasn't into violence for violence. I was a ball player, a computer science student. Just a man-to-man fighter, like my dad taught me. You know what I'm saying? But they sent me to an evil place, and it is crazy in there. 1 minute, this group of men standing in a circle, and boom, he gets his eye taken out. Boom, he get hit with a locket sock. What the hell is going on in here? I don't want my head slammed into a concrete desk. I don't want to kill nobody, but I definitely don't want to be killed.
Every chance I got, I was calling my mom, crying. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I was on my own in the feds. No gang, no protection. So a few men tried to number me up, and they got me in the cell. I looked out at all of them. I said, someone's about to get hurt. Someone's about to get messed up. But you know, one of them ran in on me, and by the time he ran, I did what I needed to do to survive. And if a corrections officer had not seen enough of what happened and been willing to speak up for me and say it was self-defense, I would be in prison right now for attempted murder. And even though I was determined not guilty, the criminal legal system still took away my innocence because they put me in a position where to survive, I had to stab a man in the neck. And his blood was just pouring out of his body all over me, all over me. And it should be all over the judge, DA, and prosecutors, them too.
That's not the worst of it. Far from the worst. Do you know how much this system kills white, black, Mexican, and Indian people? Like, kills them mentally, you know, by being good kids, whatever. Not really that much training. And they get sent to those evil environments on one mistake. And by sending them to prison, they have already killed someone. But the DAs, prosecutors, judges, they don't get charged for that because they live within the system. And it's not just the inmates. What do you think happens to the corrections officers? The people that are supposed to watch the inmates. At one point, it was their first time seeing it. Their first stabbing, their first rape. You watch the new ones, the green ones, how longer they are there, the further away they are from their cells. They become lost too.
We're all locked up in the belly of the beast. And when you leave the beast, it is inside your belly too. And they point at you and they judge you and say, look, That pit bull's dangerous. He bites. Look at his prison file. He's a monster. And they take no responsibility for throwing you into that pit. No responsibility.
Well, I take responsibility for myself and what I have to do to not lose myself or give them an excuse to send me back. And I pray for me and everyone in that prison, stay solid, stay solid. Because we are not their beast. We are unknown to them in mental capacity and ability to adapt. Because deep inside us, we are business owners, multitaskers, entrepreneurs, little brothers and strong fathers.
It is true, the beast we've been fed may be in our belly, and it is hard to control. But with the necessary amount of guidance, power, and love, our true spirit will emerge beyond its teeth.
Spirit is not impulsive. It is not reactive. It is a true purpose in broken pieces put together by experience, and it gets stronger by a day of new learning. Stay solid, stay solid. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you.